Hey, if you've made it this far in the video and you are a real estate professional, consider partnering with me here at Real Brokerage. Pay nothing per month, get a fantastic split, and you have the opportunity to build a business through revenue share and stock purchases. Book a call at the link below in today's video, and I'm happy to have a conversation on why I was able to grow my business exponentially by moving my practice to Real Brokerage. All right, back to the video. What's going on? It's your brother, your uncle, your favorite realtor's favorite realtor. And for today's video, I always implore everybody that is not super comfortable creating video for YouTube to generate leads to focus on the number 2 option that is going to get you the best opportunity to get your first deal. I'm talking about cold calls. For today's video, I'm going to show you 3 different scenarios that I walk through with some of my agent partners, where I show you exactly how I frame conversations with for sale by owners, how I navigate conversations with expired listings, and those individuals that have the coveted 2 and 3% interest rate, and tell me where to go and how to get there if I'm asking them to sell their home. If you get value from this conversation, do me a huge solid and hit the thumbs up button. That way YouTube will continue to share this type of helpful video. I want you to rip off and duplicate as much of today's content that will help you in your business. And if you want to go a step further, I'd love to talk about alignment here at Real Brokerage. Click the link on the first pinned comment and let's check out 3 scenarios and how to navigate them. All right, ring, ring, ring.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going? Happy Friday. Is this Drew?
Yeah.
Hey, Drew, how's it going? This is Marvin, your neighborhood realtor. How are you this beautiful Georgia Friday?
I'm doing all right. All right. What are you selling? What's going on? What you calling me for?
Well, I'm happy to tell you, Mr. Drew, I'm not selling you anything. I'm actually a neighbor in your community. It's a fellow neighbor. In addition to that, I'm also the neighborhood realtor, so I'm kind of the go-to person for everyone that's interested in selling in this community. And I was calling with some pretty exciting news I wanted to share with my fellow neighbor if you had about 2 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, I can listen.
All right. Well, listen, man, I'm reaching out because I'm excited to let you know, man, that we just sold a property in this community. So congratulations, sir. You have officially gained even more equity based on the recent sale. And what I try to do for all of our neighbors here in our community is to just provide value and share information. That way you just know, you know what's going on in our community. But before I go any further, my records show here that you have been in this community for about 5 years. Is that correct?
Yeah, about end of 2019. So that's about right.
Okay. How you enjoying living in our wonderful establishment?
Not bad. With these HOA, fees going up and, not really having a community pool. I kind of regret somewhat moving here because my kids, they wanted a pool and we don't have a pool.
Well, look, man, I hear you and I agree with you. One of the things that I do, especially now that it's getting a little cooler, is, and you may or may not know this, but about 2 miles down the street, there's a community center that has an indoor pool. So that's been kind of the thing that we've been leveraging, especially because when it's indoor, we can go year round. So I hear you though, man. It's one of those things that, you love HOAs because they're, the job is to keep our neighborhood beautiful. That's the goal of it. But I do sometimes wish that they'd be a little bit more, they offer a little bit more value for us, man. But so you've been in your home since 2019. I don't think I've seen you on one of my daily walks in the neighborhood. But do you, to your knowledge, I mean, how are you, have you thought about selling or is that something that is on your radar here in the near future?
No, man, I got this 2% interest rate right now. I'd be crazy to sell right now.
Yeah. I mean, 2% is obviously a great interest rate. Sounds like you probably were one of the blessed individuals that had refinanced around the pandemic because I hear you. It's a ton of us that locked in at that particular point. But it's something that I'm kind of walking through with some of our neighbors because there's a lot of people that's trying to get into our community. They just opened up that new elementary down the street and apparently it's a pretty sought after elementary school. Do you have any little ones in school?
Yeah, they're not little. They're in middle school and high school. One about to graduate actually this year.
Okay.
but yeah, we got some kids in the area.
So they might have just outgrown when it was built, but apparently it's been all over the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. It's apparently in a very good rated cluster, and so there's a lot of people that have expressed interest to me, and they're like, well, can you ask your neighbors in the community who's interested in selling? So I just pulled up a quick breakdown of the values in our community, based on the recent sale that I had, and it looks like you're in a 5-bedroom, 4-bath. Is that correct, with a basement?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so built in 2019. So I don't know what you paid for the home, but oftentimes we may go on Zillow just to see what our home is worth. And a lot of people don't realize that Zillow's not extremely accurate, not very accurate at all. But from what I'm seeing, it's looking like if you purchased around 2019, and you probably bought for around 300,000. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, came out 310, but yeah, that's about right.
Okay. Well, according to the recent sale that I had and some other comps that I was able to pull for our neighborhood, just to keep everyone abreast of what's going on, your home is currently valued around $515. What do you think about that?
That's a good number there. That's a good number there. I kind of like that.
Yeah, man. So, and again, this is just providing information, and so what I always suggest for folks that are enjoying that 2% interest rate, I think that we are currently in a place where interest rates have come down. They're not quite in the 2s, but they're definitely not in the 7s, close to 8s that it was at about 6 or 7 months ago. So if you or anyone, maybe a neighbor, another fellow neighbor, if they've talked about potentially selling their home, I'd love to provide a free breakdown of their home's value, just like we talked about for you. And if it's okay with you, I'll just keep you in my Rolodex. That way, as the values continue to rise, which is the hope, when you're ready to make a move, you'll know exactly what you can get for your home. How does that sound?
That sounds fair.
Okay. All right, man. So I show here this number that I called ending in 1234. That's the best number for you. But what's a good email for you? And I promise you, I don't spam. I send a monthly email to our community specifically, just to let everybody know what the values are in their community. What's a good email for you?
TexasPete@gmail.com.
TexasPete@gmail.com. All right, good sir. Well, listen, this is my direct number, Mr. Drew. So if you have any questions, or if you see me at one of our HOA meetings, please say hello. I usually have one of these shirts that say the word real on it, because that's the brokerage that I'm with. But I'm here to just be an advocate, man. And hopefully you'll check out that indoor pool if you haven't already. And again, if you need anything, I'm a phone call or an email away. So I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. All right. Any feedback on that? Anybody? And I will kind of share some of the things that I gathered that's going to help me with how to navigate with Mr. Drew moving forward. But does anyone have any feedback? How did I do? I was kind of on the fly, and I know Drew, so I wasn't as in a certain mode as I normally am in. But any feedback is greatly appreciated.
I mean, just from a customer side, consumer side, I thought it was pretty good, because even though you said you weren't selling anything, for me, I was waiting for the sale, you know what I mean? But since you kept true to your word, it did make it easier. Because if you would have hit me with a try to sell, I was gonna come back a little more combative, like, I just thought you said you weren't trying to sell me nothing, but you kept true to your word. So I think that's something that we need to stay true to. If you're honestly not trying to sell, then don't say don't push your position at the very end. So I felt like that was good. You kept me confident that I could trust you. So if you called again, I would be more apt to picking up the phone.
I love it. I appreciate that. Anybody else have any feedback on how that role play went?
I agree with Drew. You pretty much was there to give more information instead of trying to sell a person, because we live in a world that everybody can smell the salesperson coming a mile away, and you didn't do that. So kudos to you on that.
I appreciate it. And one of the things, y'all, that I tried to do was establish rapport as quickly as possible, because I'm the exact same way. If I feel like someone's trying to sell me something, I'll give them a good 20, 25 seconds. And then usually I I'll just hang up. So what I tried to do was, one, establish some familiarity. Do I live in Mr. Drew's neighborhood? Absolutely not. But what I did before I called, because I'm doing what's called circle prospecting, is you can see on a map, on a Google map, what a specific subdivision is called. So if it's called Cherry Blossom Subdivision, well, everything that I'm talking about when I first call, he's going to hear something familiar, and that's, okay, this is somebody calling me that also lives in the Cherry Blossom Subdivision. And I'm not being dishonest by saying I am a neighborhood realtor, because if I'm licensed in the state, any and every person in any and every neighborhood, I can serve them, right? So by adding the familiarity of stating that I'm calling on behalf of his fellow neighbors in the Cherry Hills subdivision community, that's one thing that will keep you on the phone longer with that individual. And when he mentioned about the HOA not having a pool, one of the things that I try to do on the fly is I'll Google something in that area. So pools, in that specific zip code, and it'll show me on a Google Maps while I'm having a conversation the closest pool, or the closest Kroger's, or the closest Walmart. Those kinds of things. That, again, I'm just trying to stay on the phone long enough to either set up a follow-up meeting or add him to my database to continue to drip campaign information like a market report, a home valuation, all of those things. So that was something that, for me, when he immediately said that he was, thank you, Monique, I'm gonna read your question here in a second. When he immediately said certain things that I could latch on to, that was something that it will keep people on the phone long enough. And then for you, it'll shake those nerves, because if y'all are like me, your heart's beating when you are in that initial conversation for the first 20 seconds or so, because you're kind of stumbling. You might be babbling a little bit. You might be thinking that you're going to be found out that you don't really know this person. But as I kind of walked through the scenarios with him, it slowed my heart rate down on the fly, and it allowed us to stay on the phone and just have a conversation. Okay. But yeah, and then someone, I think Monique said, I like how you spoke about not seeing him during the walks in the neighborhood. Yes. So again, it's just really, really important, y'all, to know that every single time on every single call, you're not going to hit it out the park. The likelihood of someone saying, "Oh, Lord Jesus, thank you. You called me. I'm ready to sell my house," to you as a complete stranger is, if that happens, that's amazing. But you're likelier to hit the lottery before you're going to get a call that happens like that. But how it typically will happen is that I get them into my database. I establish a rapport with them. I continue to use AI or a drip campaigns that's going to be relative to a long-term nurture for a seller. And then I try to really honor my word and not come off like I'm trying to sell something. But one of the great things is in our Lofty system is I can see when an email is open. So if I see that an individual is continually opening my market reports, then I'll go to the store and I'll get a thank you card or some other card on from the store, and just say, "Hey, thanks for talking with me," or I might send them a $5 Starbucks gift card just for the fact that they have been staying active and looking at homes in the community or whatever, because we'll get those alerts through our CRM. You'll see who's looking at what as people are opening up your email. So I think that, again, when you're talking to a complete stranger and they hit you with the 2%, they may not be ready to sell today, but at some point, divorce might happen, life might happen, things might happen to where they need to move. And knowing that he's going to walk away with a $300,000 profit potentially because he paid two something, or did he say three something, and his home was worth five something. Well, walking away with a bag of 200K may be worth it over a 2% interest rate. So who would like to be the for sale by owner?
I'll be the for sale by owner.
Okay, awesome. Ring, ring, ring.
Hello.
Hey, is this Corey?
Speaking.
Hey, Corey. How's it going? This is Marvin, the neighborhood realtor. How are you this afternoon?
I'm good. And yourself?
I'm doing well. I was driving on my way to Chipotle, and I passed by your home, and I saw that you were currently selling your home. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Is your home available at the moment? Because I saw the sign literally about 30 minutes ago. Is it still currently available, or you probably been flooded with a ton of offers at this point?
Yeah, I had some people looking interested, but it is still available.
Okay.
Yeah, so
So
we can get people coming in.
So what's tell me a little bit about it. I'm a real estate professional, as I mentioned. I'm with Real Broker, and it's a gorgeous house from the outside here. How has it been so far for you? Have you guys had a lot of traffic to that home? I don't doubt it's going to come off the market pretty soon, but but I have some potential buyers that may be interested. And before I reach out to them, I didn't want to get their hopes up. If you were about to go under contract, but how's the traffic been in the home so far?
It's been steady. I mean, we probably had like 3 people since we put it on the market. Well, put it out there on Zillow and all, but it's a 4-bed, 3-bath house,
Okay.
and I would like more, but I think I'm doing good. Especially for me doing it by myself.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you about that. Most individuals that I've seen here in the area, they usually will use a real estate agent. Was there any rhyme or reason why you decided to sell on your own? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I talked to my cousin. He's a real estate agent in another state, and he pretty much walked me through on how to sell a house. And so I feel like I can do it on my own without having to pay all those fees. And it's just not worth it to me. So I just want to save a little bit of money.
I got you. I got you. Well, in my experience, a lot of times when individuals do decide to sell their home on their own, it can be pretty stressful, navigating, the legalities of the state here of, Alabama and Alabama or Georgia real estate law. So have you, and I'm sure that this has happened for you a few times, have you been approached by a few real estate agents saying that they'd like to sell your house for you?
Yes, too many.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
And
have on. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
how's that conversation been with those individuals?
Pretty much the same. They're all trying to prove to me why I need a real estate agent and why they're better. So, everybody, they said it in a different way, but it's pretty much the same, and I can see right through it, honestly. So I'm sure that's what you want to do too, right?
Well, listen, I was actually on my way to Chipotle. I'll be honest with you. So my focus right now is getting me a Chipotle burrito. But now, when I saw that you were selling your home, I may have a buyer that's interested in the property. You mentioned that it's 4-bedroom, 3-bath, and it's a beautiful lot, very well manicured. So kudos to you for keeping the home up. Where can I see pictures of the inside of the property? I don't want to be intrusive in the event that they decide to pass on it. So do you have your pictures posted anywhere, or is it just like on Facebook? Like where can I see the inside of the home?
So I have some stuff on Zillow, also, of course, and I do have stuff on Facebook and also on my Instagram page. I put some pictures of it. I hired a photographer to come in to my home and take some pictures. Yeah, like I said, my cousin, he pretty much set me up to say, okay, this is what you need, and it's pretty much I just followed his advice.
Okay. Well, what I'll tell you, and this is just for you to be informed. We're all, again, we're neighbors. I live down the street from you, and to be honest with you, I want you to sell your home for top dollar because it's going to help my home value go up. I'm a fellow homeowner in the area. So what I just want to inform you, in most cases, individuals are not aware that real estate law has recently changed nationally. So you mentioned earlier in the conversation that you were, trying to save money, and about this time last year, they decided from a national standpoint that sellers do not have to pay compensation to the buyer's agent in addition to the fee that they pay the seller's agent. Were you aware of that?
No, I was not.
Yeah.
I just don't think I should have to pay for a buyer agent because I don't represent them, or my real estate agent doesn't represent them. So why am I paying them?
Right.
I think it's crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that shared that sentiment, and so it has created an environment where there are a lot of sellers that say, you know what, I'm not paying that 6% to a buyer's agent and my real estate agent. So I'm happy to share, since you weren't aware, that the laws have changed. Now, how that works to your benefit is that you still will now have the ability to net a lot more. And the only individual, if you ever decided, the only individual that you are obligated to compensate is the seller's agent, which would be, whoever you decide to represent you. So usually what I hear with some of the other home sellers that decide they want to sell their home on their own is, usually if I bring a buyer, they're perfectly happy paying me 1 to 2 or 3%. And that's probably was going to be the case with you. If I brought someone that was ready to buy your home, you would be okay paying me something for it? Because we all think no such thing as a free lunch, but
no, I would be open to it if it was a situation where I just don't want to pay two sides, if that makes sense. So it's either, if I do consider what you're saying, I didn't know that now we didn't have to pay the other side.
Yeah.
Maybe I would consider hearing you out if you was to represent me and I don't have to pay them. But if it was just you bringing that buyer, I may be open to negotiating that with you if you brought the buyer over to see my home.
Well, that's what our world has now become, from a real estate standpoint. So that's the cool thing, because for sellers like yourself, you mentioned that you had it posted on a few places and that you have a family member that's in the business in another state. And so he or she probably will tell you that, when you do decide to work with a real estate agent, especially since you're not responsible for paying all parties, your home is going to get more eyeballs on it, because we do have proprietary systems that allow us to get as many eyeballs as possible beyond some of the outlets that you mentioned. Your home will be seen globally by some of our systems that real estate professionals use. And I'll tell you a little bit about our team and what we can do, just so you have the information. And I'll just give you some high level, and then maybe we can hop on a quick Zoom call and I can just kind of show you, since you are focused on your bottom line, I can show you how much more you can potentially make working with a real estate agent, and how that will not negatively affect your take-home pay if you have a certain dollar amount in mind. Would you be open to that if we hopped on a quick Zoom call at some time next week?
Yeah, I would be open to that. Hey, Marvin, I gotta go pick up my kid from school.
Okay.
But yeah, let's go ahead and schedule a time. I'm usually available around noon. That's usually my lunchtime.
Noon?
Do you
Okay.
have any availability tomorrow to talk in Zoom? Actually, you're more than welcome to come over to see the house in person if you want,
Okay.
or bring your buyer if you want.
Yeah. Let's bless two birds with one seed. And what I'll do is I'll bring my trusty camera so I can take some pictures of the home in person, because I know my potential buyer is going to want to see me do a video walkthrough. I'm kind of the videographer for many of my clients. And what it'll do is it'll allow me to get some professional eyeballs on your property. That way I can give you a little bit of feedback. That way, should you decide to continue on your current track, at least you'll know what some buyers may be seeing, and probably a little nervous to tell you, because I do ultimately want you to sell your house one way or the other. And if the numbers make sense, Corey, my team and I would be happy to talk about possibly helping you in that area. So yes, I have 12 o'clock open tomorrow. I also have 10 a.m. open tomorrow. Which of the two will work best for you?
12, because I work from home, and 10 o'clock I'll be working. So
Okay.
12 is best.
And what's a good email for you? That way, if they immediately respond and you don't answer your phone, maybe because you're in a place with no service, what's a good email address that I can share some updates from my buyers?
JohnnyIsHome@gmail.com.
Okay, excellent. All right. Listen, Corey, I appreciate you taking the time to speak with me. You stay warm. It's a beautiful day here in Atlanta, Georgia. Let me know if you have any questions in between now and tomorrow at 12. I'm excited to meet you in person.
All right, Marvin. Thank you again. Have a great day.
If you'd like some Chipotle, I'll bring you some tomorrow as well. So I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. All right. Good job, Corey. Great job. What feedback do you have for me, Mr. Corey, and anyone else? Please come off mute. And we're coming up at the top of the hour, so if you got to go, the replay of this will be available. I do want to walk through the expired listing scenario, but what feedback do you have for me, Corey?
I thought you did great. I was also curious on why you didn't ask, like, well, why go with Zillow, or tell me why you can do better than Zillow or Facebook or whatnot.
Great.
I think I was probably looking for that, but overall, I thought you was amazing.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. So I never suggest, specifically when you're dealing with for sale by owner, guys and gals listening, you're dealing with a little bit of pride in that individual because they believe that they can do our job better than us. So I never want to attack a person's ego in that moment because as you mentioned, you had it posted on Zillow, you had it posted on social media. Those are very limiting places. And I did not want to discount the amount of effort to market your home that you've put out there by saying, completely tearing it down or saying, well, you know, I don't know, we can do a lot better for you than that. Because I want to acknowledge that if you're a for sale by owner, you may very well be able to sell your home without an agent, but the likelihood of getting the most money possible and knowing how to navigate paperwork and contracts and concessions and all that stuff is limited. So I wanted to celebrate the efforts that you have done already. And when I meet you in person, that would give me the opportunity to talk about my track record, talk about some of the other for sale by owners I may have worked with and what they started with versus what I was able to get for them. And now that they don't have to pay that commission to the buyer and the seller, they still will net around the same amount that they would net anyway, because for sale by owners are okay paying 1 to 2 to 3% to someone that brings a buyer. Well, now that's the same thing, but I get to work with that. I get to work with that client in the process. And it doesn't mean that they're not going to compensate the buyer's agent, but that's for the buyer's agent to figure out, because as many of you know, if a offer is written and there's certain concessions, well, we can bake our compensation into the concession request for the buyer. And if the seller's cool with those numbers and their take home is still going to be around the same, they're perfectly fine paying when they have a live deal on the table.
I have a question. If you say that you have a buyer and the for sale by owner say, yeah, bring that buyer, is that like them calling your bluff with an expectation that you're bringing a physical buyer, even if you don't have one?
So, yeah. So I always say the word is a potential buyer, because ultimately, if I bring someone and they don't like the home, well, I didn't say that I was going to, they don't know, they won't know the seriousness until an actual offer is written on the table. If an offer isn't written on the table, then everybody is a potential buyer. So for me, all I want to do is just build trust and talk about everything that I can do for them without asking them to actually let me sell their home. And I've found that for sale by owners will give you a shot to market a home unlisted, off market. You know, many of you may not know this, but you can do an open house for sale by owner as long as they give you an authorization to show an unlisted. If you're in a specific state, here in Georgia, we have an authorization to show unlisted form, and I can hold a whole open house once I have that signed for a for sale by owner. So if I show that value and I don't even have an actual listing agreement in place, and again, this might be different for your state if you're in a different state. Typically, you can market a home off market if you have an authorization of some sort by your broker team to show the home unlisted. Obviously, you can't put it on your MLS or anything like that, but you can market it for them in other off-channel places, maybe your brokerage, or your ecosystem for within workplace or for your state. Of course, Facebook, you can run ads on that property. You can do all of that as long as you have authorization to show an unlisted home, whatever that form is called for your state. Great question, though. Did I answer your question, Corey?
Oh yeah, you did.
Okay,
thank you.
All right. Does anyone else have any feedback for the call? Is there anything that I should have said? You would have said? Please feel free to come off mute.
I like how you let the person feel like they're in control. You ask very direct questions and kind of follow their lead. And I'm taking notes here because even though I've been doing this a while, I sometimes I miss the mark because I am in the front of my mind, even though I try to force it to the back of my mind, I'm still focused on getting that person as a client.
Right.
And sometimes that overshadows the real reason, which is to build that relationship. So I feel you did a really great job with, again, asking direct questions and not making him feel like this was a sale.
Okay, I appreciate that. Yeah, because we don't know. I don't know if I'd want to work with him, right? He doesn't know if he'd want to work with me. We're feeling each other out. And ultimately, when a person asks you to list their property or ask you to help them buy a home, they're putting a level of trust in you to get the job done for them. And it's a lot harder to convince a seller, especially someone that has made the decision to go at it on their own, because at the end of the day, and I heard this said by a client not too long ago, a lot of times they think we just open doors and take pictures, but many of us have been in the trenches with certain deals, and we're just as emotionally invested in that that sale going through, and we're just tired when it's all said and done. Or if it doesn't work out, we're disappointed, like we actually lost a loved one. That they just really don't realize that we do quite a bit. We do quite a bit, especially if you care about the relationship. We do quite a bit that's worth way more than that 3% or 1% or 2%. So, or apples. I'm sorry, we can't say the word commissions or percentage. So apples. All right. So does anyone have who would like to volunteer to be the expired listing? This is the person that worked with a realtor. Things didn't work out, and now they're ready to go. I see Erica. Okay, great, Erica. All right, awesome. So you will be the expired listing, and would you like me to call you Erica or anything else?
Erica's great.
Erica's
Hold
great.
on. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, I can hear you perfectly. All right. Ring, ring.
Hello.
Hi, Erica.
Yes.
Hey, how's it going? Happy Friday. This is Marvin.
Happy
How are you today?
Friday. I'm great. How are you, Marvin?
Doing wonderful. Was now a good time?
For what?
Okay. Straight to it. I love it. Well, I was actually reaching out. I live in the area. I'm the neighborhood realtor for everyone. And I saw your home on 123 Banana Street. Is it currently for sale still?
It's for sale.
Okay.
It's for sale.
Well,
I do want to sell it. It's not listed right now.
So I usually bike around the area here, and I saw a young lady who appeared to be a real estate agent taking down the for sale sign. So I just knew, because I was like, oh, shoot, that home is finally sold. But you mentioned that it is for sale, but the for sale sign is gone. So are you still working with that real estate agent or no?
I'm not. It's real fresh. It just happened. But and you got to excuse me. I'm not trying to take it out on you, but business is business. And I've been on the market for like 200 days, and
wow,
I don't understand. I mean, I'm doing everything she advised, and why is my house not sold?
Yeah, well, what I can tell you is that there are a lot of factors that are taking place right now. And again, being the neighborhood realtor, it's one of the things that I kind of watch on a regular basis, just so, because, of course, when your home sells, that helps me out, from a value and equity standpoint. But what I've been seeing with some clients is that, when interest rates were in the 7s and 8s, and you mentioned you were on the market 200 days ago. So of course it's been within the year. Interest rates were just crazy. And so it just was that much more expensive to buy the same type of home. So that could have been a factor that's kind of affecting the greater economy. But let me ask you, you are still interested in selling. What was like some of the feedback that you were hearing from your agent, and what people that did see the home? Did you get a lot of traffic in the home?
Not really. Not really. Your guess is as good as mine. I think she did one open house at the very beginning, and then I barely heard from her. You know, I'm just watching on Zillow, my house just sitting there and nothing. And I'm looking, my neighbor about homes down listed their house, went under contract and sold their house within the same time. My house is so much better than hers. Now,
Really?
yes, it's more expensive, but you know, I have Italian tile, you know,
Okay.
and I have some other features that I mean, my house is just gorgeous. I mean,
Yeah.
and yes, I helped the realtor with the pricing, but that shouldn't be a factor. Why,
So
200 days later?
yeah, I was gonna ask. I mean, you know, one open house in almost a year,
Mhm.
that's usually not the norm. Typically, at least with our team, we run an open house every weekend for the first 30 to 45 days. It
Really?
usually doesn't take that long before it sells. But we, at least in my experience, my team and I, we do open houses every single weekend. For one, it gives me an opportunity to get a pulse on what buyers are saying about the property, because one open house, unfortunately, you know, it just may not do it. But tell me about the home. You said you had Italian tile, and you mentioned that you helped the realtor with the pricing. Now, before you list it, if you don't mind me asking, and this is just going to help me because I have some other listings getting ready to go up in the area. Did your listing agent give you a certain price that you felt was a little bit less than you were looking for? When you mentioned you helped them out with them, walk me through what that means.
Well, she gave me the comps of the area, but the comps that she gave were based off properties that didn't look as good as mine.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So I had to take that into account. I mean, I am an accountant. I'm kind of smart.
Okay.
So I decided that my house was worth at least $50,000 more than the top house. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
anybody who has eyes could see.
Now, when you mentioned that it was worth 50,000 more, based typically when a real estate agent comes up with pricing, and this is just for your knowledge, if you do decide to work with another real estate agent, again, just to be neighborly, I just want to make sure you have all the information you need to be empowered when you
That's
do
fine.
go at it again. Usually comps for the home, you know, comparative pricing for the home is usually based on three factors more than anything. The closest in build to your home. Let's say your home was built in 2016. Typically, any and all homes built in 2015, 14, or 16 and 17 are usually going to be what's compared to yours, as well as square footage, bedrooms, and bathrooms. I know your realtor probably told you all this, but those are at its basis what factors determine the value for your home, at least as best as possible, before an actual appraiser comes in. And so you mentioned that you did some updates to the home. Italian tile is beautiful, so that's awesome. What were some other things that you have in the home? Are you on a basement? No basement? You know, what are some other things going on with the home that you've done recently?
Well, I wish I had a basement, but I'm in Florida and we drown.
That's
So
right.
no basement. So what I did was I screened in our lanai in the backyard.
Okay.
We also upgraded the kitchen, you know, because the house is 2016, like you noticed.
Yeah.
And so based on my upgrades and me using higher end counters and my flooring and my bathroom with that Italian tile, I thought instead of her, what she projected at 650, 700 was a very reasonable price point to come in at. And I even gave wiggle room. I told her that, you know, instead of going down on my pricing, I'll help somebody with like 5,000 towards their closing costs. I thought that was a very good deal.
Okay. Okay. And so during that period, did you get any offers while you all were on the market? Had any offers come through at all?
I mean, we got some offers, but they were disrespectful.
Okay. Tell me
They were disrespectful. One
what
was
aspect was
for
disrespectful? Were they asking
620,000.
620? Okay. Were
Yeah,
were they asking for concessions as well as a lower price?
no, it was cash.
It was cash. Okay. And
Mhm.
so at this point, you know, would you say that you are still pretty motivated to sell, or are you pretty firm on getting the price that you're looking for your property?
I mean, I've always been motivated to sell, but you know, I want enough money so I could travel
Okay. I love
and and go visit my grandkids whenever I want. And based on that net sheet, that 700,000 gave me the amount I need it. I mean, paying her and paying the buyer's agent and all these fees, I had to do my own math, and that made sense to me.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that, again, you may or may not, because 200, there's a lot that's happened in the local Florida real estate market in the last 200 days that I just want you to be aware of. Again, this is literally just a service call. I have nothing to sell you. I want you to succeed in selling your home for as much as possible. But were you aware that, to your point about paying a buyer's agent, were you aware that that's no longer a requirement here in the state of Florida?
I kind of heard something from my neighbor, but she brags, her house sold. I told you. So I don't, I do want my home sold. No disrespect, Marvin, in it, because I've got to go. But I do want my house sold. I just want somebody to shoot it straight and just give me the amount that I need at closing.
Okay.
That's all I'm talking about. And, if I have enough, I mean, I only owe about $130,000 on the home, but I want a nice chunk. I want to travel. That's my nest egg.
Okay. Well, what I'd like to do is, if it's okay with you, I want to see what's going on in the area. I feel like, based on what you explained to me, it was either that the home was simply just not marketed enough, both locally and nationally, because we got a lot of relocators coming to this particular part of Florida, because you're close to Disney, if I remember correctly. So we got a lot of folks that are trying to get here and save on taxes. That you guys, here in Florida, we don't pay any state taxes. So I want to see what factors took place that caused the home to sit, because, as you mentioned, from what I see, the pictures online, and when I drove by, it's a beautiful home. Kudos to you, because you keep it very well maintained. I think I saw a pool in the back as well.
You sure did.
Online. So I don't think there's no reason why it should not have sold for as much as possible. But I want to see what's going on in the area that could have prompted either the low activity. And if it's okay with you, to your point about shooting it straight, because you are an accountant, your focus being the bottom line, is what I'd like to hop on a quick Zoom call with you, maybe later on this week, early next week, so we can really crunch the numbers together, because I know most accountants are very analytical. So would that be something that would be of value to you?
That would be great. That would be great.
And there's no obligation to do anything. I just want to show you some data that I think your previous agent may not have seen. He or she may have just been very busy and may have had some other things going on, or it may be other factors that were outside of their control. Who knows?
Do you know Susan? Do you know her? Because I don't want this getting bad.
No, I don't know Susan. So no, you're good. And all of our conversations are confidential anyway. I just want you to have the information, Erica. And then I have an opening because I'm putting up a few listings in your zip code. And I just sold one not too far, about 10 miles out, that was similar to your home. So homes are selling, but we just got to find out in your specific case what was the more than likely the culprit. So I have openings to stop by, just maybe for a quick 15-minute walkthrough. I want to be respectful to your time. I have time on Wednesday at 12:30, and I have Friday at 1 p.m. Which time would work for you?
Friday at 1 would work.
Friday at 1 p.m. Okay. I am a Starbucks guy, so is it okay if I bring a venti with almond milk?
Yes, with oat milk. Thank you.
Oat milk? Okay, perfect. I'll have that for you. So I'm excited. Hot. I got it. So I'm excited to chat with you. In between now and then, I want to get a quick shoot you a quick text just so you have my direct number and you can save it, because if you're like me, I don't answer the phone if I don't recognize the number.
No.
So feel free to save it as well. What's a good email address? I know the service is a little wonky sometimes in the area. What's a good email for you?
Erica Loves Coffee at gmail.com.
Okay, got it plugged in. All right. Thank you so much. I will see you Friday at 1:30, and I will bring that Starbucks for you. You have a great weekend.
Thank you, Marvin. You too.
All right, perfect. All right, y'all. So I have some feedback on this one. Thank you, Erica, for some of the little nuggets that you were putting out. That helped me kind of shape the conversation. The one thing that you mentioned was that how much you owe on the home, because that'll kind of help me do a comparative when I do my CMA, deduct your loan amount and what the estimated closing cost on the net sheet and all that stuff. All that stuff helps me. come up with some figures that are going to be more in line with the money that you need. But what feedback do you have for me in regards to this conversation?
I just like the way you did not change in your tonality. You didn't go after or say anything negative towards the previous agent.
Yeah.
You kept it professional, and you kept it in alignment, because we could have gone left about three different spots in the conversation.
I caught it when you were doing that. I said, let me bring that train right on back to the track. But yes, I never throw another agent under the bus. Even if I knew that agent, guys and gals, when you're talking with expired folks, if they throw someone under the bus, if they throw the agent under the bus, then let them do that. But your job is to put yourself in their shoes. She may have been a difficult listing to work with. You mentioned at the beginning, Erica, that you kind of had a price in mind. And so what that told me as well, which was another nugget, was that your agent may have given you a number that was more close to what the comps were, but some sellers, they believe their gold toilets are worth an extra 25 to 50,000. So ultimately, y'all, you don't have those conversations on the initial call. What you're just trying to do is get in front of them face to face to see the property, let them get a feel for you, let them see your body language, let them get comfortable around you, because I don't let nobody in my house unless I'm comfortable around you. And so by kind of offering, in this case with Erica specifically, as an expired listing, I'm bringing coffee. The reason why is because if she was comfortable working with a professional at one point, if I can make her comfortable enough to work with me and that coffee sealed the deal, I'll do it all day. I didn't do that. I don't offer that with for sale by owners because frankly, they're penny pinchers anyway. So I know I'm usually not going to get my full compensation. I got to do some negotiation. So I ain't getting no Starbucks, not until we close. I ain't doing that. And then obviously with the 2% homeowner, for them, it's just me really providing information for them, getting them on a drip campaign, getting market updates so they continue to see my name. So when they're ready to sell, or if their neighbor's ready to sell, they'll tell them to give Marvin a call. But for expireds, that's the hottest opportunity, y'all, to pick right up from where that other agent messed up by asking good questions that will help you shape a good CMA that's going to provide value for them. But try your darndest to meet up with them in a coffee shop, meet up with them at a Starbucks, and then subsequently set up a follow-up meeting at their property so that you can get that home right back on the market as quickly as possible. This video is brought to you by morethanrealestateagent.com, your #1 source for real estate merch on the internet. Use code YouTube for 10% off your first order.